edition of Fox Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are Arizona.
The Diamondbacks and the Dodgers. It was never friendly to begin with. That happens when Hollywood's team hasn't won it all in a quarter century, and the new division neighbors move in and create some history. Last year, tensions boiled over with beards, brushbacks, and bench-clearing brawls, and the Dodgers' dip didn't exactly cool things off. As guests in Sydney, it was time to make nice and smile for the world's cameras. But now, one of baseball's best rivalries is back on home turf, and all bets are off on Fox Sports Arizona.
It is a beautiful night in the desert. The Diamondbacks back home at Chase Field. The roof of the panels are open. The fans are pouring in. And for the first time on American soil in 2014, it is these NL West rivals, the Arizona Diamondbacks and the Los Angeles Dodgers, on Friday night. Friday Night Baseball presented by your helpful Valley Honda dealers. Gorgeous night at the ballpark. Good evening from Chase Field, and welcome to the broadcast. Steve Berthume and Bob Brenly along the way. Okay, let's call it here what it is. We all know the history, Bob. It's the Diamondbacks, it's the Dodgers. How would you best characterize the relationship between these two organizations?
Really simple. They just don't like each other. I mean, you talk about National League West rivalries. Certainly the Giants-Dodgers goes all the way back to New York, so you'd have to give them the historical edge, but these two teams just don't like each other.
In terms of the pitching matchup tonight, Brandon McCarthy on the mound for the Diamondbacks, Hyunjin Ryu for the Dodgers, and Arizona has certainly seen its share of this guy so far.
Unfortunately, he has been really good against the Diamondbacks in his last three starts. Combination of 4 pitches. He'll mix it up depending on what's working on a given night. He's got real good command. Diamondbacks have yet to really figure him out much, so hopefully tonight will be the night they break through against the left-hander.
And as we saw last year, he can get the occasional hit. Brandon McCarthy, a track record against the Dodgers.
Yeah, a real good track record against the Dodgers, and has looked real good in the early going this year. Just has to find a way to get over that 4th inning hump. He's been really good through the first 3 innings of his games. Runs into some problems in the 4th. Hopefully he'll avoid that tonight.
Diamondbacks come into this ball game with a 2-game winning streak, due in no small part to the bullpen. When we come back here from Chase Field, we'll talk about the yeoman's effort that was turned in by the relief corps over the week in San Francisco. The bullpen slams the door on the Giants. Diamondbacks here with a 2-game winning streak, ready for 3 against the Dodgers. More from Chase Field coming up. You're watching the Arizona Diamondbacks on Fox Sports Arizona.
On Fox Sports Arizona is brought to you in part by CenturyLink, your link to what's next. And by Jack in the Box. Try the new Bacon Insider at Jack in the Box. It's got bacon mixed right into the patty at participating restaurants.
Welcome back to Chase Field. I'm Cindy Brunson, where we are settling in for the Dodgers versus the Diamondbacks for the first time here on U.S. soil. And you can see signs like this throughout the ballpark. Beat L.A. Of course, Arizona was 10 up and 9 down against L.A. last season, but this season still looking for their first win against them. They'll be behind Brandon McCarthy tonight, and if McCarthy falters, you know he can count on a fantastic bullpen. Over the last couple of games, in 2 straight division wins, the bullpen has been beyond stout. Brad Ziegler, Joe Thornton, J.J. Putz, and Addison Reed combined to go 5 innings of 2-hit scoreless ball with 4 strikeouts last night in the victory. And you can expect more of the same tonight here at Chase Field if needed. Of course, Brandon McCarthy would love to match Wade Miley's season high of 8 innings of work that came in a win against Colorado. We're all ready for the Diamondbacks to get right here as they start a 6-game homestand against those Dodgers. The rivalry is going to be renewed, and we're glad to have you along the way. D-backs baseball next, right here.
McCarthy to the mound, the roof of the panels open, the Diamondbacks and the Dodgers right here, right now. We saw each other in Sydney, that was one thing. The Diamondback fans have been waiting for this, really, since last September. L.A. back at the scene of the crime, as it were.
Here's how they're going to line them up tonight behind Don Mattingly. Carl Crawford leading off. Yasiel Puig batting second. Hanley Ramirez hitting third. It'll be Adrian Gonzalez, Andre Ethier with great career numbers against the D-backs, and Juan Uribe in the middle of the lineup. Crawford leading off. Yasiel Puig batting second. Hanley Ramirez hitting third. It'll be Adrian Gonzalez, Andre Ethier with great career numbers against the D-backs, and Juan Uribe in the middle of the lineup. Tim Fedorovich doing the catching with A.J. Ellis on the disabled list. D. Gordon leading the team in batting average. Not really a surprise. On base percentage, not really a surprise. Slugging percentage, that's a big surprise. And on the mound, Hyung Jun Ryu.
For the Diamondbacks, our Arizona Ford starting pitcher, Brandon McCarthy, his third start. At times, he has been not just good, but dominant. In his previous starts, Saturday at Colorado, Brandon retired 10 straight early in the ball game and then allowed runs in each of the next 3 innings, including 3 home runs. So Brandon tonight looking to build on early success. Diamondbacks and Dodgers. Carl Crawford takes strike one. We are underway. 3 over the weekend against the men in blue. Crawford at .313 on the year. McCarthy quickly had 0-2. Dodgers coming off a fairly dramatic mini-series against the Tigers at Dodger Stadium earlier this week. Crawford won Tuesday's game, had a 10th inning double. Detroit won Wednesday in extra innings as well. Dodgers came back against Joe Nathan with 3 in the 9th to tie it up, and then Victor Martinez homered off Kenley Jansen in the 10th. And Detroit got the split of the 2-game set. Dodgers were off yesterday. Diamondbacks, on the other hand, woof, we got in a little late last night.
Early this morning.
Exactly. After, well, almost about 3:30 in the morning by the time we got back to the ballpark. Good start for Brandon McCarthy. 1 up, 1 down. Defensively, the Diamondbacks look as per usual defensively behind McCarthy.
I guess the left-hander with Trumbo in left, Pollock in center, Parr in right field. It'll be Prado and Chris Owings on the left side of the infield tonight. Aaron Hill and Paul Goldschmidt on the right side. Miguel Montero behind the plate for right-hander Brandon McCarthy.
Can you tell who's up? The Bluebirds are out for Yasiel Puig. He's been out for a while. First pitch swinging. Bob Brenly, what else is new?
No shock. Just make a good first pitch. I mean, when a guy is a notorious first ball hitter and you can execute your pitch and keep it out of the middle of the plate, it's easy way to jump ahead in the count.
Keep an eye on Puig's left hand. He is injured. 0-1. He's wearing a splint on the left thumb. He strained a left thumb ligament, sliding head first into first base on Saturday against the Giants at Dodger Stadium. So he's been out for a bit, listed as day-to-day. And that splint's supposed to stabilize the area of the thumb on the hand there. McCarthy misses, 2 balls and a strike.
And the early going, Puig leading the National League in neon jewelry. Wow.
Well, you were saying surprise? You saw a shot of Matt Kemp. He is not in Don Mattingly's starting lineup. 2-1 pitch. That is on the ground, is short. Chris Owings. 2 up, 2 down.
It's like he just came from a rave somewhere, which not surprising either, given his past history.
Wonder if he was on time for that. McCarthy, as we talked about a moment ago, Bob, very good early, and in fact at times dominant, and then, you know, about 5th or 6th inning, it gets away from him a bit.
And that's something that Mike Harkey, I'm sure, spent a lot of time in the video room trying to determine whether something changed in Brandon McCarthy or the opposition made adjustments to what they were seeing in those first 3 innings.
El Nino, Hanley Ramirez. Hanley at .263, couple of home runs. He's slugging over .500. And Adrian Gonzalez will tell you that this is the guy that makes the Dodgers offense go. Puig has his moments. Gonzalez is steady, but it's Hanley that really elevates them offensively.
And I always felt it was very important to make Hanley Ramirez uncomfortable in his first at bat. I don't mean throw at his head. I don't even mean hit him. Just make him aware that you're going to come inside hard. Has that high leg kick, really likes to dive in toward home plate, get that swing started a little bit early, and when he guesses right, he can do some big damage.
Ooh, hung a breaking ball there.
You know, and all it takes is one fastball, you know, up there like right between the 13 and the Los Angeles on that jersey, just to keep him honest. Don't let him dive out there and get comfortable.
94 from McCarthy. He can hump it up there. And Brandon McCarthy with that signature 2-seam sinker.
Yeah, his velocity's been up this year, both on the 2-seamer and the cutter.
You can mix it up. The cutter, the 2-seamer, the occasional breaking ball. The change is a work in progress. This is there. It's full. Gonzalez on deck. He's off to a very slow start. Under 190. 3 balls and 2 strikes. Base hit. Hanley Ramirez just crushes it in this ballpark. He's a .370 career hitter at Chase Field.
First baseman number 23, Adrian Gonzalez.
Actually got jammed a little bit there, but strong enough to muscle it out into center field with that big swing. He's actually attempted 3 stolen bases this year, been successful twice. I doubt if he'll be running, however, with Adrian Gonzalez up there. They'd like to give him that hole on the right side of the infield.
That's how they will play Gonzalez defensively. 189, 2 homers. Gonzalez first pitch drives it to right and out of here. 2 quick outs for McCarthy, but it's 2-0 Dodgers.
Well, I was just about to say one important factor in this ball game is to keep the crowd out of the game, which may sound funny since this game is at Chase Field, but as we know, a lot of Dodger fans down that first baseline, and we would like them to sit on their hands for the rest of the evening.
That is the 5th home run given up this season by Brandon McCarthy. And this is a position in which Diamondback pitchers have found themselves throughout the season so far, trailing early. Andre Ethier. He swings at the first pitch and drives it to right, but Gerardo Parra is there and makes a nice diving catch. The 2-time Gold Glover out there in right puts an end to the Dodger half inning, but they get 2 in the Gonzalez homer, and they're up quickly 2-0. And it is also the 6th game this season in which the opposition has put up runs in the first inning. So we've been here before. Diamondbacks down 2-0. This is the lineup for Arizona from manager Kirk Gibson.
A.J. Pollock in center field against the lefty tonight. Aaron Hill batting second. Paul Goldschmidt, great career numbers against Ryu. No surprise there. Martin Prado cleaning up. Miguel Montero catching. Mark Trumbo out in left field. Chris Owens at shortstop tonight. Gerardo Parra with a nice running, sliding catch in right field to end that top half of the first. And Brandon McCarthy on the mound.
Arizona Ford starting pitcher Hyunjin Ryu. His numbers are somewhat skewed. He's had 2 outings so far in which he has looked dominant, really good. But things fell apart quickly for him his last time out. That was a week ago at home against the Giants. So the numbers are a little hit and miss. He's pitched much better than his record would indicate.
Now 2 innings against the Giants, gave up 8 hits and 8 runs, walked 3 batters in his 2 innings of work. 69 pitches to labor through 2 innings.
And in that ball game, the Giants got 6 in the first, all with 2 outs. A couple of bloops dropped in. It was just one of those innings before Ryu turned out to be the shortest start of his major league career so far. He recorded only 6 outs, gave up 8 runs. 2-1 on A.J. Pollock. A.J. struck out in a pinch hit appearance last night in San Francisco. That snapped a 5-game hit streak. At the top of the order tonight against the left-hander. He's ahead, 3 balls and a strike. Aaron Hill It's a good matchup for Aaron Hill. Roof's open, left-hander out there. This might be the night Aaron breaks through. 3-1. There's a strike. AJ making his 6th start this season in the leadoff spot. He is a 2 for 22 as the leadoff man so far. That's up. That's a ball. Will Little, plate umpire.
Ryu has his problems early. A lot of good pitchers have similar numbers to this, but this is to an extreme. The opponent's batting average in the first inning, 500 this year. The second inning, 357. But then from the 3rd through the 7th, he's yet to give up a hit.
Got to get to him early. Did a good job working deep into ball games last year. He went at least 6 innings in 24 of his 30 starts, and that includes a pair of 2-hit complete games. One was a 2-1 loss here at Chase Field against the Diamondbacks in September. AJ battling up there, still alive. Ryu reported at Dodger camp in Glendale this spring. He was noticeably more fit than he had been a year ago. He told reporters he was underprepared last year after all the contract negotiations from Korea. 3-2. Leadoff walk.
Good at bat. You know, we've been talking a lot this year specifically about offensive players and their swings and simplifying things. Look at Ryu's windup. Most pitchers start with their toes on the rubber facing home plate, take the ball up over their head and step into that hole in front of the rubber. He just starts with his left foot right where it is right now out of the stretch position and starts his windup from there when there's nobody on base. Just trying to simplify things a little bit, make sure he has that plant foot exactly where he wants it before he starts his windup.
Aaron Hill at 255. Still looking for that first home run. This is a good matchup for Aaron, who was 5 for 12 with a homer career against Ryu.
I mentioned Ryu throws 4 pitches, basically relies on fastball changeup, but has a real good slider and occasionally will throw a slow curveball over the top.
Goldie on deck. .92 degrees outside in downtown Phoenix. Roof was closed for most of the afternoon. Opened it up just before first pitch, so it's a warm night. Right to third, Uribe plays it on the hop. They get the force on Pollock, and that's all.
Uribe a little bit of a double clutch down there at third base. Ball was hit hard right to him. Just had some problems with the grip by the time he gets it to D. Gordon. No chance to get Aaron Hill at first base.
So 1 away for Paul Goldschmidt. Aaron Hill with Dave McKay at first, and here's Goldie at 370 and 2 homers. His OPS over 1,000. That is on base percentage plus slugging percentage. That's blocked by Fedorovich. A.J. Ellis out 4 to 6 weeks. Just had his knee scoped. A regular catcher, so Fedorovich called up from Albuquerque. They're going with Fedorovich and Drew Butera as the catchers. 1-0 to Goldschmidt. Goldie has hit safely in 11 of the Diamondbacks' 12 games this year. He's got an 8-game hit streak against L.A. I tell you what, for games against your main rival, that's not bad. Two 2-0. There's a strike. 2-1. Goldie, outstanding success so far, not just against LA, but against Ryu. He is 9 for 18 career against this guy, including 2 doubles and a homer. Called strike. It's even.
Not quite approaching Lincecum territory yet, but give him a few more at bats.
Put him on the list. This is up, but it's full. So a pair of 3-2 counts through the first 3 Diamondback hitters for Ryu. The view from the Derek Hall seats. There is the Diamondbacks president and CEO in the black shirt there on the right. As he is every night here. Never misses a pitch. 3-2. Two down.
A little bit of a rarity there. You rarely see Paul Goldschmidt really extend himself. Looked like he was trying to drive the ball that time. Got a pitch up in the zone, a much bigger swing than we're used to seeing from Goldie. He's trying to jumpstart the offense here in the bottom of the first.
So 2 down. It's up to Martin Prado, who is red hot lately. He's got it up to 286 and holding a 6-game hitting streak. Martin, after that slow 3 for 25 start, has hit better than 450 during a 6-game streak. So he's on the march back up to 300. A ball and a strike. Pretty successful road trip. How about that? 11 for 24. Bounce to short. Hanley Ramirez. Diamondbacks get the leadoff walk, and they can't get a run across. We're through 1. They trailed the Dodgers 2-0.
We all know Brandon McCarthy's a strike thrower. Watch how aggressive these swings are by the Dodgers in the first inning. They know he's a strike thrower. High leg kicks, guys diving in toward the plate, letting that bat go. General Manager Kevin Towers got in a lot of trouble with the national media over the offseason talking about the Diamondbacks pitching staff not being aggressive enough, not pitching inside enough, and I think that's what he's referring to. You don't have to hit guys, you don't have to knock guys down, but you have to keep them honest.
Juan Uribe leads off the second. Brandon McCarthy is an exceptional strike thrower. He simply does not walk guys. He is always in or around the zone. And LA in the first inning took advantage. Uribe 375 on the year, off to a good start. Bounce to third. Martin Prado on a line.
That's really pretty impressive when you think about it. Only Cliff Lee and David Price threw a higher percentage of strikes than Brandon McCarthy last year, which can work for you, but it can certainly work against you against an aggressive swinging team.
Well, they sure look, based on that little production that the truck put together, they were ready to come out swinging. They were looking for those strikes. So how do you adjust if you're Brandon then, other than throwing inside? Is that just it? Back them off a bit?
Well, in and out. Just don't let them get comfortable. Don't let them think every pitch is going to be over the plate. Every now and then run one up and in. Every now and then throw one at their feet. Occasionally bounce a breaking ball off the outside corner. Just let them think that maybe you don't have your best command tonight. Especially when you get ahead in the count. That's always a key, but then you get back into the problem of jumping ahead in the count. You're throwing a first pitch strike to an aggressive hitter. But when you can get ahead in the count, that's when you can expand the zone and make hitters uncomfortable.
1-1 to Federovich, the catcher. Just called up from AAA Albuquerque when A.J. Ellis went down. He is 1 for 7 through 2 games so far, but he struck out 5 times in those 7 at-bats.
Yeah, this would be an interesting development for the Dodgers with A.J. Ellis on the shelf after knee surgery. Federovich has 183 at-bats in his last 4 years. 160 of those came last year.
Right to shortstop, Chris Owings. 2 ground ball outs for McCarthy. That's when you know he's on his game.
And the other Dodger catcher, Drew Butera, has 13 at-bats in the last 2 years. Now, neither one of those guys is known for their offense, but I think they're going to miss A.J. Ellis's leadership behind that plate.
That's a big loss, there's no question. A.J. Ellis 4 to 6 weeks. It's actually the second time he's had that left knee scoped in the last 18 months, so it had been nagging him throughout the spring. D. Gordon with Paul Goldschmidt and Martin Prado in on the grass at first and third respectively. Second base, a void on the Dodgers this spring. Few veterans are brought in for a look. They signed Cuban shortstop Alex Guerrero and trying to convert him. That hadn't gone well. And lo and behold, D. Gordon, a somewhat forgotten man in that LA infield, is back up the minors, and he's moved over from shortstop himself, and he has really done well as their second baseman. 394 and a home run.
Get up there.
Off the glove of a diving Aaron Hill and into center. Gordon's got good speed, but he'll stop there. Aaron almost came down with a tremendous play.
Catcher number 99, Hyunjin.
Third hit for the Dodgers.
Yeah, D. Gordon barreling more balls this year, as you can clearly see. He's not a big, strong guy. There was a time in his career you could just knock the bat right out of his hand, but he's getting the barrel on the ball more consistently this season, getting on base at an over 430 clip.
And he has put on some weight, which has helped as well. That was an issue, as McCarthy wants to talk to Montero now. He used to play at about 135, 140. Now he's up to 160. That'll get your weight up.
There you go.
Very important to get the souvenir helmet. That's a fundamental. I think I got about 1,000 of those things at home.
All empty, yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Cleaned out.
Stacked up on top of each other. And get the soft serve in those, or if you really want to go big league, you get the Cold Stone.
Tell you, some nights a pitcher can only worry about the 8 hitters in the lineup. You don't worry about the pitcher spot, but you've got to pitch this guy like a hitter. In 6 games against the D-backs, he's hitting an even .500. Against the rest of the world, he's 7 for 51.
He has been Babe Ruth against the Diamondbacks. That one right to Goldie, and they strand Gordon. CenturyLink, your link to what's next. Montero, Trumbo, Owings in the Arizona second. We'll see if Mark Trumbo can get the D-backs on the board. be big. First ever zombie night at Chase Field, Friday the 25th. All fans who purchase a special zombie night ticket package will get a customized D-backs zombie survival kit. That includes a drawstring bag, a t-shirt, a mini bat, and our zombies will also be able to participate in the zombie walk around the field before the ball game. Now, there are a limited number of zombie night ticket packages available, and you can only get the giveaway items through this special offer. So log on dbacks.com/events and get ready to zombie out on April 25th. That'll be followed by Patrick Corbin bobblehead day on the 26th against the Phillies. Miguel Montero leads off the second against Hyunjin Ryu.
Saw some zombies climbing off that staff bus last night at 3:30 in the morning.
He's leading the charge. Gotta love those night extra inning getaway day games. Only slight difference in the lineup, or slight really note of interest in terms of the Diamondbacks, who 1 through 8 offensively, was the idea that Miguel Montero batting ahead of Mark Trumbo against the left-hander Ryu. Oftentimes Miggy will drop down into that 6th spot against a lefty, but Montero 5, Trumbo 6, Owings 7 here in the Arizona second. Miggy hit the ball well last night in San Francisco, had a 2-run double against Ryan Vogelsong. Lays off there, 2-2. And he has hit safely in 3 of his last 4 games. Little roller in the center base hit. Make it 4 or 5 for Miguel Montero. Second time in 2 innings the D-backs have had the leadoff man aboard.
Maybe not as much fun for Miggy as hitting the ball out of the ballpark, but a much more consistent swing in the early going this year, making solid contact. A lot of his hits have come up the middle of the field or the opposite way. Good start to the inning.
You always want men on base ahead of this guy. Mark Trumbo tied with Brandon Belt and Pedro Alvarez for the Major League home run lead. He trails only the White Sox Jose Abreu for the Majors RBI lead, and he takes strike 1. In fact, Mark only 3 RBIs away from 300 for the career. Mark doubled, walked, and scored a run in the D-backs win at San Francisco last night, and he's hit safely in 5 of his last 7 games.
We've been talking a lot about Brandon McCarthy making Dodger hitters uncomfortable. That's what I'm talking about. That ball's not at his head. It's not off the plate too far, but forced Mark Trumbo to back off the plate just a little bit and possibly opening up the outside part for Ryu.
There is a term we always hear thrown around, effectively wild. Maybe do it with a little more purpose. That term always sort of has a connotation of lack of command or control with it, but you don't always have to throw strikes. Trumbo strikes out, 1 away. Second strikeout for Ryu.
Elevated fastball. That seems to be the location teams have been trying to go to against Trumbo in those 2-strike counts. Climb the ladder, throw that letter high fastball. That time he swung right through it.
Chris Owings now. Owings had the night off last night. Cliff Pennington got the start at shortstop and had that big night, 3 hits, including that huge single in the 10th, wound up scoring the winning run. Chris did get in the ball game as a pinch hitter in the 10th and flied out. Big night for some of the subs. Tony Campana at the top of the order, Pennington at the bottom. Campana 4 hits, Pennington 3. Some key stolen bases in the ball game. Owings lifts that one high in the air to right. Yasiel Puig.
right, D-backs fans, anytime the D-backs score 6 runs or more, Taco Bell is giving away 3 free tacos with the purchase of a large drink between 4 and 6 the following day at participating locations.
Gerardo Parra. Parra 271 and a homer. Miguel Montero at first after a leadoff single, 2 down. First pitch swinging. Center field, Andre Ethier. Diamondbacks get the leadoff man aboard for the second time in 2 innings, but once again can't do anything with it, and through 2 they trail it 2-0.
Check out ABTV as we go down to the farm with the Arizona producers. What's going on in the
Position 138 for a very special reason, as we want the Diamondbacks to cut into the Dodgers' 2-run lead here in the top of the third. We're addressing Greg Welsh for a very special cause. Greg, why are you here today?
I'm here to promote Donate Life Arizona. I am a heart recipient, and this cause means a lot to me. I'm holding a picture of my donor, who I've been lucky enough to meet his family. He saved my life. Donation is a passion of mine. I've been touched on both sides of it. My wife was a donor, and now I have received the gift of life. It's a miracle.
We go back to 2011 when you received your heart and you learned that you were one of 2,500 Arizonans on a list in need of donated organs. Did that surprise you?
It did surprise me that there were so many that needed the gift of life, and it's amazing what they can do. But we always need people to register. They can go to the website at donatelifeaz.org and register to be a donor. It saves lives.
If anybody at home is on the fence and perhaps thinking about being a donor and aren't sure why, what would you tell them?
Donation saves lives. It saved my life, and it creates miracles every day. Please register to be a donor.
Greg, thanks so much for taking the time, and enjoy the game. Fellas, back to you.
Cindy, thanks very much. LiveOnAZ.org. Tremendous work done by that organization, so we encourage you to log on and read about it. Carl Crawford, the leadoff single in the third, and Yasiel Puig is up. He grounded out to short his first time. There's a strike. Mentioned Puig playing with that big splint on his left thumb. They've been trying as best they can to get Puig to stop doing things like sliding headfirst into first base, but it's a work in progress.
Same thing could be said for Josh Hamilton, who's sitting on the disabled list with busted up thumb from sliding in to first base head first. That's instinctive for some guys, but the reality is the physics of the play just say you'll always get there quicker running straight through the bag. The only time you should ever slide into first base is to avoid a tag. So dangerous.
Crawford bluffs it first. Puig. Aaron Hill smothers it, and they get the force at second on Crawford. Nice job by Aaron Hill and by Chris Owings on that one to get the lead runner.
That's one instance where you're glad the ball was hit as hard as it was. Aaron Hill able to kind of smother it, knock it down, but because the ball was hit so hard, he still has time to recover and get the lead runner at second base. Way to stay with it.
Nice job by Chris to keep his foot down on that bag. So Crawford is erased. Puig aboard with one out now. And Ramirez singled and scored his first time. Dodgers with two in the first. Adrian Gonzalez, his third home run of the year. Already a good start for Hanley here. 370 career in 21 games at Chase Field. That includes 3 home runs. Most guys love to hit in this ballpark, but Ramirez especially. That was close.
Yeah, good idea to keep an eye on Puig. He can occasionally have a mental cramp when he's out there on the bases. We saw that in Sydney, a couple of base running gaffes.
And led to a couple of team meetings. One with Mattingly and Puig, and one with the entire ball club. 1-0. Again, you see there Brandon McCarthy trying to adjust his set times to not have any discernible pattern. And it was a long pause there by Brandon before he stepped off. In the left. Puig heads for third. And Ramirez sneaks in at second.
That's a common play for a left fielder. It's so tempting to try to throw that lead runner out at third base, but you can see the distance Mark had to run to get to that ball. Probably would have been better served to fire that ball back into second base and keep the double play in order, holding Ramirez at first.
So now second and third, one out. Adrian Gonzalez. He has seen one pitch tonight, and he drove it into the right field seats. His third home run this year. This was Gonzalez in the first inning. First pitch.
Steal a basketball term. He was cherry picking right there. Just went to the plate with every intention of picking on the first delivery he saw from Brandon McCarthy. Line drive homer to right.
Gonzalez, despite the home run his first debut, has had a slow start to the season. Came in under 190. 10 strikeouts in his first 37 at bats. Base hit. Puig scores. Here comes Hanley. And it's 4-0 Dodgers. Adrian Gonzalez, 2 at bats, 4 RBIs.
Bad pitch, sinker on the outer third of the plate, working its way down, but Gonzalez, a very good low ball hitter, barreled it up the middle of the field. And that extra base that Hanley Ramirez was able to take on the throw to third base comes back to haunt the D-backs right there.
Conversation time. Mike Harkey to the mound, the pitching coach. So Gonzalez, a home run, a single. He's driven in all 4 Dodger runs.
And really no surprise to Diamondbacks fans that have been watching Adrian Gonzalez in his days as a Padre, now as a Dodger. He has the most RBIs of any active player against the Diamondbacks. Those 2 right there gave him 81 against the D-backs.
Keep this in mind as well. The Diamondbacks in that game in San Francisco last night went through 6 relief pitchers. Perez, Harris, Ziegler, Thatcher, Putz, Reed all worked. So it's a tired bullpen that got in about 3:30 in the morning. Andre Ethier. Bullpen catcher Mark Reed in the middle there. Ryan Roland Smith, Mel Stoudemire Jr.
Talk about how much work the bullpen has had. Mark Reed's been the busiest catcher in baseball.
He's been warming up pitchers the entire season, it seems. There's the strike, 1-1. There's Reeder. As much a part of this team and organization as anyone else in uniform. He is in the thick of things all the time, constantly working. Pitching, batting practice, warming up guys in the bullpen, does a little bit of everything.
Catching those side sessions. If guys have early hitting, he's out here to throw the early hitting or throw the regular BP. All part of the gig when you're a bullpen catcher at the major league level.
You got all these pitchers. They got to have somebody to throw to. I mean, they'll line up 6 in a row in spring training. And you got to find guys to put on the gear and crouch down back there. 2-1. Three balls and a strike. Crawford led off the inning with a single. Puig get into a fielder's choice. Ramirez doubled. Gonzalez single has made it 4-0. Now 3-1 to Ethier. Ball 4. Tell you what, Bob, the bullpen was outstanding at AT&T Park.
Especially Josh Comenter in relief of Bronson Arroyo. Bronson went 5 innings to start that ball game. Josh Comenter came in when the bullpen had already been taxed the day before and finished it by himself. Pitched the last 4 innings. That was just what the doctor ordered.
Joe Thatcher got out of a huge 8th inning jam last night. J.J. Putz, I'm not sure he's ever looked better. 2 strikeouts, worked a 1-2-3 9th. I mean, he has been nails this year. Juan Uribe grounded out his first time. Up the middle. Owings behind the bag. Gets a foot down, and Chris Owings turns the double play. What a play by the D-backs rookie shortstop. How about some COD? I tell you what, Jay and Dan, that might be the one. The third. Nice footwork here.
Yeah, and the ability to throw off balance while jumping over the sliding runner and still get enough on that throw to get the out at first base. Outstanding athletic play.
And then when you get into the dugout, he's not a bad guy to talk to about shortstop.
Yeah, that's the way I used to do it, kid.
And he did, believe me.
Yeah, but you bring up a good point. The finer points of the game. Maybe Tram telling CO, yeah, that was a great play. Maybe you could have done this. Maybe you could have done that. Or maybe you did it absolutely right. Either way, you love the feed.
He'd get here at 1 o'clock, 1:30, and 1:30. And there's Alan Trammell out there teaching guys how to play the infield. And can you imagine the resource that is for a 22-year-old kid like Chris Owens?
Oh, yeah. And Alan Trammell was very fortunate to play his entire career with one second baseman, which is extremely rare. Lou Whitaker and Alan Trammell up the middle for the Tigers all those years together, thinking with the same brain.
Called strike 3 on McCarthy, 3 strikeouts for Ryu as we open the third inning. I tell you, Bob, the reaction to our fan photo AT&T promotion has been fantastic, and fans, once again, it's time for you to tweet us your pics using a new hashtag now. Keep that in mind. Hashtag AZFanPhoto for your chance to have it shown on an upcoming game broadcast. It's brought to you by AT&T, and we have kept Bob Brenly very busy scrolling through tons of photos. I mean, on the plane, I was impressed at your dedication. 3 in the morning on the plane, you're going through the pictures. But,
yeah, that's it.
It has been a great response by D-backs fans, and so we'll keep putting those pictures up there as long as you send them to us. Brought to you by AT&T. Just remember the hashtag AZFanPhoto. 2 balls and a strike to A.J. Pollock. A.J. walked his first time. Roof and panels open on a warm night in downtown Phoenix. That one is high to right. Puig near the line, drifting near foul ground, and he's got it for the second out.
Second baseman, Aaron Hill.
Brings up Aaron Hill. Reached on the fielder's choice his first time. I'm calling it for Aaron Hill. I'm putting it out there.
I like it.
This is the night. That bagel next to the home run. It's going away. Every once in a while you get that. Did you ever have that when you were managing? You just, for whatever wacky unknown reason, you just kind of get, you know what, I kind of think this guy tonight.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes it has everything to do with the opposing pitcher and the things he likes to throw and the hitter's strengths, and you just know he's going to get him at some point tonight.
Might hit it to Fatburger. But knowing the way Aaron pulls the ball, the D-backs bullpen, a more likely target. 2-1. You get out here at batting practice if you're a Diamondbacks season ticket holder, dbacks.com/tickets, and you can see guys hit him to Fatburger out there. And it is a show. 3-1. And then, of course, when you're done, you can go to Fatburger and muscle up.
Looking good.
Nice work. Look at it. We got the 2 jerseys, the old and the new, couple of Fatburgers at the ball game. Now that would make a great D-backs fan photo right there. The 2 jerseys, the food, the ballpark, the whole thing. 3-2 now. Four strikeouts for Ryu. Works a 1-2-3 third. We are through 3. The Diamondbacks trail the Dodgers 4-0. Friday Night Baseball is brought to you by your helpful Valley Honda dealers and their blue shirts. It's their job to be helpful. Dodgers lead the Diamondbacks 4-0, set for the fourth inning here. Hey fans, FoxSportsArizona.com. All your online local sports coverage you can't get anywhere else. Reaction from this ball game from Jack McGruder, who's here with us. Randy Hill breaks down the playoff implications after the Suns and Spurs, and Brandon McCarthy has changed his routine in his quest for 200 innings. He wants to go the full year. You can read Jack's story on that. FoxSportsArizona.com. Tim Fedorovich, D. Gordon, Hyunjin Ryu, bottom of the order here in the LA fourth. Talking about that article that Jack wrote for the website, FoxSportsArizona.com. Talking about how Brandon McCarthy tried to bulk up. I mean, he's a big guy, 6'7", he's skinny. But Brandon worked with a trainer who's a neighbor of his in Dallas, where he lives in the offseason. Did a lot more work with weight training, trying to get stronger physically. Not just that, but baseball stronger as well. So they had exercises specific to Brandon's needs in hopes of avoiding that annual shoulder injury that crops up, usually about the third week of May or so. He's also had strict adherence to a diet, feels a lot stronger physically, and there's no question, as we've seen in this ball game too, he's got a little more zip on that cutter and two-seamer. Made it right back to the mound. So that's been a benefit as well, a little extra mile or two per hour on the fastball, but if you can get through that period and avoid the shoulder trouble, that'll certainly help the cause to get to 200 innings. And you can read that story at FoxSportsArizona.com.
Well, he could really do his team a favor, even though he struggled in the early going here. If he could get the ball club into the 6th inning, possibly the 7th inning, put some zeros up on that board. We've talked about the bullpen and the overwork that they've had to endure up to this point. Even when you start shaky, settle in, give those guys a little bit of a rest down there, give your offense a chance to get back in the game.
Keeping a close eye, Mike Harkey and Kirk Gibson, Oliver Perez in the bullpen as McCarthy throws pitch number 50, and he jumps ahead 0-2.
Hey fans, we invite you to play Kachinko by signing up at one of the 16 interactive kiosks right here at Chase Field during any Diamondbacks regular season home game.
Now this guy won earlier today, and he won a trip to go down on the field and watch the fireworks today. And he was, in fact, he described himself as speechless. He was so happy. And Kachinko will do that to you.
Yes, it will.
So he'll be down on the field tonight with special VIP seats to watch the fireworks show on a Friday night home game in downtown Phoenix. A ball and 2 strikes to D. Gordon. Second strikeout for McCarthy, 2 down. And here comes Babe Ruth.
This is right where you like it. Nobody on base.
That was one of your keys to the game, right? Yeah. Keep the bases empty ahead of Ryu.
Jeez. Limit the RBI opportunities. You know, a lot of his base hits, if you watch his approach at the plate, he kind of steps in the bucket. He doesn't look like he's real anxious to dive in there like a lot of the Dodgers hitters, but he manages to get the bat on the ball. A lot of his hits go to right field, but he gets it done. It's not always pretty.
Mark McGwire, the Dodgers hitting coach. Will hitting coaches even bother with pitchers?
Pitchers that look athletic and can swing the bat a little bit. I think Wade Miley. Miley's a guy that probably listens a lot to Turner Ward and tries to listen to the other hitters on the team and maybe take some of that up to the plate with him, but usually not.
Misses there, 1-2.
Just try to get your at bat over with without hurting yourself and go back out to the mound and do your thing.
Turner Ward, the Diamondback hitting coach, celebrating a birthday today.
Like I said, it's not always pretty.
Not exactly an artistic success.
Well, the last Dodger to wear number 99 was Manny Ramirez. I don't think Manny ever took a swing like that.
Not on purpose. If he was a position player, we'd say he's battling up there.
Yeah.
And he loses the battle. McCarthy settling in, a 1-2-3-4. He's got 3 strikeouts, home half on the way. Hello from Chase Field.
Bottom half of the 4th inning. Time to take a look at our Valley Honda dealers' keys to the game. Keep the pressure on the Dodgers. 11 errors on the season, tied with the Texas Rangers and the Miami Marlins for the most in baseball. And payback. I don't need to explain that. All you got to do is take a look at that pool in right center field and the team in the first base dugout, and that should be motivation enough.
Well, this is the guy to get it started. Paul Goldschmidt will lead off the 4th. 4 RBI night so far for Adrian Gonzalez. A 2-run homer in the first, a 2-run single in the third. He has been the Dodger offense. They have out-hit the Diamondbacks so far 6-1, but it's Goldie, Prado, Montero 3, 4, and 5 in the Arizona 4th against Hyunjin Ryu. Goldie has hit safely in 11 of the Diamondbacks' 12 games this year. 6 of those have been multi-hit games. And we got something on the field right behind the mound. A little paper airplane with a Beat LA sign. Goldschmidt leads off the 4th. There's a strike, 0-1. Goldie has hit in 4 straight after having that 26-game hitting streak snapped. And he has reached base safely now in 31 straight games. By far the longest active streak in the major leagues. Diamondbacks and Dodgers, first time this year on U.S. soil. And you didn't need to know how to read a schedule to figure out this was a night to be at Chase Field. This place is near full. And the good news is, Bob, it's mostly all Sedona red. Little pockets of blue here and there, but Diamondback fans have come out ready to beat LA.
Yeah, just waiting for something to cheer about here. Hopefully Goldie jumpstart the offense here. Some guys on base. Let the D-backs fans make some noise.
Goldie lifts that one high and deep to left center. Did he get enough? Ethier has room, and it's on the track. It's dead still up there. There's not a breath of air in here. And it just kind of died on him out there.
Just got under it a little bit. That ball was a mile in the air. May have hit the rafters if the roof were closed. Cut fastball down and in. Goldie hoping for a breath of air to blow that one up over the Geico sign, but it dies on the warning track.
So Goldschmidt 0 for 2. Here's Martin Prado. Prado grounded out his first time up. Taking all the way, strike one. Prado with a 6-game hit streak. He has not fared especially well against Ryu, now 3 for 18. Including 5 strikeouts. Little swing and bunt. Uribe! That guy has really come on defensively for the Dodgers. Plays a very good third base. In fact, there are many that think if Hanley Ramirez ever gets hurt that they should just move Uribe over and have him play short.
This is a nice play. Swinging bunt by Martin Prado. Looked like it was going to be an infield hit, but can't do it any better than that. Scoop and throw all in one motion, right on target.
Miguel Montero has the only Diamondbacks hit tonight. Uribe ranked second among big league third basemen in fielding percentage last year. He had just 5 errors and 900 innings down there. And you just saw exactly why. Strike one to Montero. It is remarkable how many left-hand starting pitchers the Diamondbacks have faced 13 games in. It seems almost every day there's some lefty ace out there for the other guys.
And not chop liver lefties either. We've seen Ryu twice. We've seen Clayton Kershaw, Madison Bumgarner, Jorge De La Rosa with the Rockies.
Montero shoots it into left, and Miggy's 2 for 2.
I talked about it earlier in the ball game. His approach is so much better this year, so much quicker, letting that ball travel, just get the barrel on it. Some of them go up the middle, some of them go to opposite field. Balls he should pull to right field, he will pull to right field, but that approach is going to serve him well.
So a chance for Trumbo with a 2-out base runner. Mark struck out his first time. Ryu has thrown strike one to every batter in this inning. That was the thing that when you looked at the Diamondback lineup, you thought, he's got Montero, the lefty, up ahead of Mark Trumbo against the left-hander Ryu, but guess who has both D-backs hits? Miguel Montero. Much better with runners on base. But down 0-2. Lifts that into shallow right. Gordon and Puig. Ryu strands the 2-out single, and through 4, the Diamondbacks trailed the Dodgers 4-0.
Should be a good series. Two good ball clubs. You know, the past is the past, in my opinion. Some guys may feel different, but you know, I've kind of turned the page and looking forward to a good 2014 for us.
JJ puts with the Geico quote of the game. Of course, every man in the clubhouse has put Poolgate behind them. Now they all are working on getting ahead of these Dodgers in the first of a 6-game homestand. Bob, Steve, back to you.
Thank you, Cindy. Carl Crawford leads off the LA fifth. Crawford has struck out and singled 1 for 2. He's up to 324 on the year. Bounce to second. Aaron Hill backs up. McCarthy's retired 5 in a row. Yasiel Puig.
Yeah, we talked about Paul Goldschmidt getting booed at AT&T Park in San Francisco, but he's earned it. They just boo Puig because.
Part of the beauty of the dynamic.
Just because.
It's been a very busy spring for Puig and controversy. It always is, it seems, but we're not even halfway through April here. There were problems in Sydney. Then he showed up late to the Dodgers home opener when they returned to LA. Had to be removed from the starting lineup. And Puig said he asked his teammates for forgiveness. His mistake. They didn't plan on being late, just a mix-up, so he apologized, and they accepted, he says. Aaron Hill one more time. Taylor made. So McCarthy a 1, 2, 3, 4th, working on the same in the 5th as Ramirez steps up. He has singled, doubled, and scored twice. Ramirez has hit in 7 straight. He's batting over 400 during that hit streak. It includes 5 doubles and a pair of homers, so he is tearing it up right now. Started 1 for 15. But he has found his offensive stroke.
He has really hurt the Diamondbacks over the last 2 seasons. A batting average of .429, 8 extra base hits, 4 home runs. He's just way too comfortable up there.
His 10th major league season, a career .302 hitter. There's a strike. McCarthy had 1 and 2. Hanley has been a rookie of the year. He's won Silver Sluggers. He's gone to All-Star games. And last season was the first time he had ever reached the postseason. He got hurt and it killed the Dodgers. A ball and 2 strikes. Got him. Brandon McCarthy has settled in. He's got 4 strikeouts. He's retired 7 in a row. CenturyLink, your link to what's next coming up for the Diamondbacks. Gerardo Parra. That's presented by Cox Communications and Fry's Food Stores is back and ready to take you to a D-backs game. So stop by this month's participating Fry's Food Store in Tucson and the Cox Retail Store at Tempe Marketplace. And you can enter to win 2 seats on the Big Fan Express bus. You get a round-trip transportation to the D-backs game either April 27th or May 18th. FoxSportsArizona.com has all your info. Chris Owings is up there now with a 1-1 count. Owings par a pitcher spot in the Arizona 5th. Brandon McCarthy, Bob, after some initial trouble, certainly down 4-0, but he's retired 7 straight. He's got 4 strikeouts, back-to-back 1-2-3 innings.
He's kind of reversed the trend that we've seen in the early going this season, where he cruises early and then struggles after the 4th inning. Exactly the opposite tonight. Very crisp inning in that top half of the 5th.
Yeah, the Gonzalez 2-run single that made it 4-zip. With 1 out in the 3rd was the last Dodger hit. Look out, Dave McKay. So he got those quick feet, the old instincts. You know, I'm talking to Dave when we got to meet him in spring training. It's something I was not aware of. He has lived in the Valley since before he was a player. He was coming up in the minors and heading to the majors and thought, well, this is where spring training is. I guess I should just live here. And he's lived here since, I guess, the 70s.
Why not?
So it's great to have Dave on the staff. What a resource he is. Oof. Base running, outfield coach. Glenn Sherlock. It's amazing how much work these coaches put in. Glenn Sherlock will throw BP. He'll work on the outfield arms. He'll study the charts. He'll throw balls in the dirt to the catchers still. Practice blocking balls in the dirt. I mean, the list of jobs is endless, it seems.
I love the game. I mean, you talk about a commitment, not only of effort and physical exertion, but just the amount of time that these coaches spend preparing for a ball game.
I mean, you see Tram in the hotel after a game on the road. He looks like he's studying for finals. He's got binders and books and charts.
I'm talking to Glenn Sherlock, who's moving into third base this year from the bullpen, and he says he's been watching the other third base coaches. I think that's a tremendous idea. You know, we just came from San Francisco, where Tim Flannery's been a long-time third base coach. Yeah, watch the guys that have been doing it for a long time. Maybe you can pick up some pointers, some tips, and make it a little bit easier. Always learning.
Two and two to Chris Owings. Ryu got him. That's 5 strikeouts. Oh, they got some food out there. Looks like shrimp.
Ooh.
Good. What a great night to be out there. Dodgers, D-backs. Oh, that guy, you can turn around. Yeah, get him out of the shot. All right, that's good directing. Gerardo Parra flying out to center his first time. Talked about Parra's difficulties against left-hand pitchers, but he actually has had some success against Ryu. He's hit about 280 against Ryu since he came over from Korea. Of course, coming off the near cycle the other night, triple, single homer in his first 3 at-bats in San Francisco, all off Tim Lincecum. And then struck out and grounded out in 2 shots at the cycle. Just needed the double. Ball and 2 strikes. Bounce to third, Uribe. Just backhands it, plants that back foot, and throws it all the way across. Didn't really have great balance there. That's a long way to throw the ball. Look at his footing.
He slipped a little bit there with the right foot as he went to plant, but he got rid of it so quickly. Got it across the diamond to Gonzalez. They still had plenty of time to get par at first base. Yeah, some third basemen have that cannon arm where they'll take their time to make sure their legs are underneath them, and then they'll just unleash a fastball across the diamond. Other guys with an average arm, you know, they get rid of it a little quicker. And
Sandoval likes to do that. He likes to kind of, you know, tap dance a little bit and then throw that 90-mile-an-hour heater across there.
The late great Ron Santo, playing all those years for the Chicago Cubs, he says you only need two things to be a good defensive third baseman: strong chest and a strong arm.
Well, Ryu's got a pretty strong arm. 6 strikeouts through 5. Get a snack. You got 2 minutes. Go. Diamondbacks trail the Dodgers 4-0. And as promised earlier in the ball game, we have, or Bob Brenly has finally, selected an AT&T fan photo of the game. Don't forget, tweet us your photo, hashtag AZFanPhoto, for a chance to be shown on an upcoming game broadcast brought to you by AT&T. And there is Danielle with Baxter. Now, Bob, what was it about this photo that intrigued you so much? Danielle with Baxter, the old throwback jerseys.
I like the jerseys an awful lot, yeah. And I gotta fess up here. I'm not the sole voice for these AT&T fan photos.
Wait a minute, what?
Anything that you see on our screen is always cleared with the governor. So,
oh well, that makes sense.
Ultimately, you can ask Greg Schulte.
Way to pass the buck. Brandon McCarthy has retired the last 7 he's faced. He has yet to get Adrian Gonzalez out. And Gonzalez has been the offense. A 2-run homer in the first. He hammered the first pitch he saw. And then a 2-run single in the third. He has driven in all 4 Dodger runs. Swings at the first pitch again. This is Gonzalez so far tonight. First pitch.
Down and out over the plate where he could extend his arms. Just cleared the fence out there in right field. And then just poked one back up to the middle with a couple runners in scoring position.
LA has 6 hits and 4 runs. Gonzalez has 2 of those hits and all 4 RBI. Slaps that one the other way. But foul in McCarthy's head, 0-2. Nice play. So Gonzalez now hit in 7 straight. Shift is on. Goldie smothers that one. And there's more Diamondback defense, possibly taking away extra bases from the LA first baseman.
Center fielder Andre Ethier.
You look at the numbers on the stat sheet coming into this game tonight. Gonzalez is only hitting 189, but man, is he swinging the bat tonight. Squares that one up. Great defensive play by Goldie to take away possible extra bases.
Andre Ethier 0 for 1. He walked his last time. Great crowd on hand at Chase Field. Roof and panels are open. Swing by Auction Alley. Put a bid in on a Brandon McCarthy jersey. Lots of memorabilia up there signed by Diamondback players. Tony Campana helmet, AJ Pollock shirts, and baseball. Some photographs. Auction Alley here at Chase Field. Gotta get some Brenly items over there. I know you don't really have a Digny room as in the house. I know you're working on a music room to hold all the guitars and stuff.
Yeah.
Aaron Hill. Good start here through the heart of the order for Brandon McCarthy, who's now set down 9 straight.
That's some good dig me stuff. I just don't have it displayed.
Well, you're not that kind of guy.
I'm real proud of my guitar collection, even though I'm not a good guitar player. I've got some really pretty guitars.
Just all you need on your wall is that right there.
That's all you need right there. Absolutely.
Uribe drops a breaking ball in there, 0-1. Well, McCarthy in his last start did have a stretch where he dominated, retired 10 in a row. Difference here was he did it through the first 3 1/3. In his last start at Coors Field, gave up a single to Charlie Blackmon against the Rockies, and then retired the next 10 he faced. And if he can get Uribe here, it'll be 10 in a row for Brandon one more time. That's a fair ball. Nice backhand by Prado, and there it is. 10 up, 10 down against McCarthy. And that's his 3rd straight 1-2-3 inning, keeping him in the ball game, down 4-0. Fox Sports Arizona is brought to you in part by Lone Butte Casino. You're in for more winning moments at Lone Butte Casino. And by Cox Communications. Bundle and save with Cox. That's a good looking truck here at Chase Field. First pitch swinging AJ Pollock. Routine for Ethier in center. One out in the 6th. Diamondbacks down 4-0. And looking for some offense. Only 2 hits so far. A pair of Miguel Montero singles against the left-hander Hyunjin Ryu. Aaron Hill has reached on a fielder's choice and struck out. 5 in a row now set down by Ryu. In the air, shallow right, Gordon from second base. 2 up, 2 down.
First baseman, Goldschmidt.
Last home enter. Diamondbacks rotation. Still a work in progress. Probably have more answers after Trevor Cahill's start here in this series against the Dodgers. 4 pitches, 2 outs in the inning for Ryu. Here's Goldie. Goldie has struck out and flied out 0 for 2. 44 Magnum Force. Good try.
I know what you're thinking, Punk.
You feel lucky? Still get the nickname suggestions on the Twitter for the Goldie Trumbo combo. One guy had one I kind of liked the other day. He said that was positively Trumgoldian.
Trumgoldian,
which was pretty close, but wrong. We haven't really found one that works. But that was an A for effort, Trumgoldian. That's outstanding work. As Ryu creeps up on 90 pitches.
Gumbo seems very easy, but it just doesn't. There's not enough of Paul Goldschmidt's name in there, you know.
There was Galumbo.
Yeah.
There you go. That's Gumbo with Goldie on the left. Called strike 3 by the plate umpire Will Little. So Ryu strikes out Goldschmidt for the second time tonight. He's got 7 Ks. He's through 6 with a 4-0 lead. Honda dealer. Great night to be here. More than 33,000 at Chase Field. Roof and panels open on a warm Friday night in downtown Phoenix, where the Diamondbacks trail the Dodgers the 4-0. Early trouble for Brandon McCarthy, but he has been outstanding since he's retired the last 10 in a row. How about that? 31 pitches over the last 3 innings. And he'll work to the bottom of the order here. Fedorovich, Gordon, the pitcher spot in the LA 7th. Nice backhand stop by Aaron Hill. Plenty of time. Throws him out. Federovich 0 for 3, one away.
And you can't really say that the Dodgers have changed their approach very much. They're still being very aggressive against Brandon McCarthy, but he's making better pitches in better locations with better movement. Instead of line drives, they're turning into easy ground balls. Aaron Hill has been extremely busy out there at second tonight.
Well, we talk all the time about pitchers' efforts to sharpen their mechanics, to find a comfortable arm slot and release point and all that. But Kirk Gibson says that Brandon McCarthy is likely the best pitcher the Diamondbacks have at repeating his delivery. And we talked earlier about Brandon's new offseason workout program. That's helped this year. It's a much more physically vigorous program than he used before. So he's added some strength, and that's helped. And his confidence is increased as he's had these stretches in all these games where he's been unhittable for 3, 4, 5 innings and looked really good. Trying to avoid that injury. That was really the point of the offseason program, to get through a season without going on the DL with that shoulder problem that creeps up all the time. Because Brandon says, you know, he's human. He does lose confidence sometimes when he's on the DL and he's not throwing well. High chopper over second base and into center. Gordon's 2 for 3. That's the first Dodger hit since Gonzalez's 2-run single back in the third. And Ryu steps in with Gordon on first and 1 out. Prado well in on the grass at third. Goldie holding Gordon at first.
A little bit of a lean that time by Gordon as he goes back into first base on his belly. Ryu showing bunt very early that time. And once again, looks like he has every intention of trying to bunt Gordon into scoring position.
Nothing doing, ball 1. So that's now 80 pitches for Brandon McCarthy, 53 for strikes. Lorenzo Bundy, the coach at third. Gordon takes off. Ryu swings through, and he is in there. 5th stolen base this season for D. Gordon.
You just had the feeling with Ryu showing bunt as early as he was, those first couple of pitches, they were just setting it up for D. Gordon to steal that base. Why would you waste an out when you got a guy that runs the bases the way D. Gordon does, easily in on his belly?
So a man in scoring position, 1 away, and a 1-1 count on Ryu. Chris Owings. Gordon the third, 2 down. So Ryu went up there with Gordon on first. He leaves with Gordon on third. And the top of the order, Carl Crawford. Crawford is 1 for 3, a single in the third. Dodgers just split a 2-game series in LA against the Detroit Tigers, and Crawford had a big series, went 5 for 10 against Detroit. One and one. Baxter making those Dodger fans feel welcome. Just going around the ballpark, finding guys in blue and giving them a hard time. 1-2. That's out of play. Baxter, of course, on the Twitter at @DBaxBaxter. I don't know how he tweets without fingers.
Maybe the occasional spelling mistake.
Misses there, 2-2. Yasiel Puig on deck. Diamondbacks in the 7th will have Prado, Montero, Trumbo, 4, 5, and 6. So far, only 2 hits against Hyunjin Ryu. Owings knocks it down, recovers, throws him out. McCarthy strands the runner at third. More Diamondback defense. It's been a great night defensively. Now looking for some offense, trailing 4-0. Friday Night Baseball presented by your helpful Valley Honda dealers. Diamondbacks trail the Dodgers 4-0 stretch time at Chase Field. So we welcome in place of Joe Borowski, Brandon Webb. We've gone from the bullpen to the rotation here.
Thanks, guys. Good to be here.
What do you make of Hyunjin Ryu? Only 2 hits so far for the D-backs.
Yeah, he's looking pretty strong. I told him at the beginning of the game, I like the kid's stuff. He's got a good fastball. He seems to spot up pretty well. He's got a really good slider. Had a tough outing last time, but more often than not, he's pretty tough.
Yeah, ran into some 2-out trouble against the Giants at Dodger Stadium and lasted only 2 innings, but he was outstanding previous to that. Once against the Diamondbacks, another time against the Padres. And in the meantime, Brandon, we've got, Brandon Webb, Brandon McCarthy. Boy, troubles in the first, in the third, and then after that, Gonzalez 2-run single that made it 4-0. McCarthy retired 11 in a row.
Yeah.
How do you get off to such a rocky start, then suddenly you're just mowing them down?
Well, it's getting in a groove, getting your feel, getting your release point, things like that. But it's kind of opposite of what he's been doing the last few starts. He's been pretty dominant early on in the games, and then losing his feel, he said, of his pitches later on. And tonight it's kind of turned that around. But he's looked good later in the game.
We were talking earlier about Brandon McCarthy, and even though he's a big, tall guy, Kirk Gibson feels like he can repeat his mechanics better than anybody else on the staff. Did you ever have any issues with that, and how do you go about rectifying that if it is a problem?
Yeah, I think every pitcher goes through something like that. With something's out of whack. If you're not throwing strikes consistently, it's usually something mechanical. And you work on that in the bullpen. You go out in between starts. There's nothing much you can do during the game that you're going to be working on to try to correct that. That's something you work on in the bullpen and try to correct. But he does a great job. I like the way he's used his two-seam again here later on. He's got a lot of ground balls.
And that's 9 in a row set down now by Ryu.
Well, we hear from Trevor Cahill a lot, who, when he is good and when his mechanics are solid, he's as good as anybody in the game, pounding that sinker at the bottom of the zone, but just seems to really struggle with those consistent mechanics and that consistent release point.
I totally agree. I think Cahill could go out and throw. He's got one of the best sinkers in the game, no doubt. I've seen him do it. When he works on top of the ball and gets on top of that, I mean, it's nasty. It is. I mean, he can go out there and throw that one pitch and get outs. I did it for 3 years straight. I didn't throw anything else.
No one ever threw a better sinker than you did. Have you ever talked to Trevor or had him approach you and had a conversation about that pitch?
No, I haven't. But like I said, I mean, he's got an excellent one, and I think he just needs to be a little more consistent with it. I'm big on aggressiveness. Throw it down the middle early on in the count. Let him hit it and see what happens.
It might be a little different for a pitcher who threw a pure straight four-seam fastball, and now you got to nibble a little bit. But when you have as much movement as you did and as Trevor does now, it seems to make a lot of sense to aim for the catcher's mask and just let the ball go wherever it wants to.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, for a four-seam guy, that's not what you're looking to do. Somebody like Trevor Cahill, throw it down the middle early in the count, let it run to the inside or outside corner, and then start to nibble away and start to be a little bit more fine. But you got to get ahead in the count before you do anything. If not, you're going to be working behind in the count. Then you're going to have to elevate and bring the ball down the middle of the plate and you get hit.
And Trevor has to start in this series against the Dodgers. After that, Kevin Towers had said they will reevaluate where they are with a rotation. Look at the gap here for Mark Trumbo in left center field. You've got Crawford kind of near the Diamondback bullpen there, and Ethier shaded well over toward right field. So a lot of room in left center for Mark.
I think this speaks to the confidence that the Dodgers have that Ryu is going to hit his spots. If you play any kind of an exaggerated shift or move guys out of position, for me that always showed that you've got confidence that your pitcher is going to hit his spots and try to force Mark Trumbo to hit the ball where you want him to.
Exactly. You don't think they're going to pitch him inside right here. They're pitching him away, and they're going to play him away.
We saw the Atlanta Braves do that for years with Bobby Cox and all those great pitching staffs they had down in Atlanta. They used to overshift in the outfield all the time, but they had pitchers on the mound that would consistently hit their spots.
3 balls and 2 strikes. Ryu has retired 10 in a row. He gets Trumbo for the second time. Brandon Webb, we'll see you on Diamondbacks Live after the ball game.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Cool plays of the game, and the Diamondbacks the best offensive team in the major leagues last year. Continuing that trend here tonight. A nice diving catch in right by Gerardo Parr, and then some COD. Chris Owens turns two with some fancy footwork, and then Paul Goldschmidt, the Gold Glover, at first base. Our Chaz Roberts air conditioning cool plays of the game. Trainers in the Dodger dugout looking at the hand of Hyunjin Ryu. And there seems to be some growing concern in there. Dodger bullpen is quickly busy as Yasiel Puig leads off the 8th. First pitch swinging, foul back. You'll recall the ball that Montero hit and the ball that Prado hit. Prado hit a 1-3 put out. Montero hit a 3-1 put out. So a couple of plays over there at first base for Ryu, and he might have, don't want to say injured his hand, but something's going on up there. Withrow is in the bullpen. Here's the play Martin Prado had to lead off the 7th.
Yeah, it didn't look like much, just a little comebacker. Ryu appeared to corral it in the glove and toss on to first base, but obviously something going on over there.
1-1 to Yasiel Puig. Hard to left. This is in the corner. Puig's on the run. His second double this year. And it looks like Ryu is done. 7 innings of 2-hit ball.
Look at Juan Uribe's reaction. He's looking at the scoreboard, looking back at Ryu, holding up 9 figures, saying, "Can't you go 9?"
I didn't know Uribe spoke Korean.
I think that's kind of a universal language for ball players, especially when a pitcher comes out of the game early, dealing the way Ryu has been tonight.
He has retired the last 10 he's faced, given up only 2 hits, a pair of Montero singles. Henley Ramirez 2 for 3. He has singled, doubled, and scored twice. Another one. Hard to left. Trumbo cuts it off. Puig will score. Now it gets behind Trumbo. Up against the Diamondback bullpen. 5-0 LA. Ramirez is in at second. They score that, a double and an RBI. Back-to-back doubles against McCarthy to open the 8th.
Another hyper-aggressive swing from Hanley Ramirez. Look at him diving in there, jerking that ball down into the left field corner. Absolutely no fear. Trumbo just kind of fanned on that ball. I don't believe they would have had a chance to get Hanley Ramirez at second base anyway.
Mike Harkey. Brandon McCarthy gave up 2 in the first, a single by Ramirez, an Adrian Gonzalez homer. He allowed 2 more in the third. Crawford, Ramirez, Gonzalez all with hits. But after the Gonzalez 2-run single in the third, Brandon retired 11 in a row and has done a wonderful job of settling down and getting into the 8th inning here. On a night when it looked like we might run through a whole parade of relief pitchers here, McCarthy has got the Diamondbacks into the 8th.
Doesn't fall into that category of quality start. He's given up too many runs for that, but under the circumstances with the bullpen in the condition they're in, the fact that he's been able to get this deep in the ball game, hopefully we'll get that bullpen back in line for tomorrow's game.
Back-to-back doubles to open the 8th, a run in, and here's Gonzalez, who's got 4 RBIs, a 2-run homer, a 2-run single. Giving Mark Trumbo a workout. That one is hooking down the line and foul. Well, he swings so free and easy, especially when he's just knocking it into left field the other way. It seems effortless for him.
A left-hander swing always looks different than a right-hander swing.
It's a little prettier.
It's, yeah, just a little more fluid, and maybe a little bit longer, a little bit more arc in the bat as it gets into the hitting zone.
Another left-hander on deck.
Talking about that Diamondbacks bullpen coming into tonight's game, they had thrown the most innings in the major leagues, 43 bullpen innings already this season.
Part of that is due to the early start in Sydney, a little bit. But it's been able to stay quiet out there for most of the night. There it is again, just knocks it the other way. They'll wave Ramirez, and Adrian Gonzalez has a 5 RBI night. It's 6-0 Dodgers. They've opened up with 3 straight hits. So Ramirez 3 for 4, Gonzalez 3 for 4, and that's it for Brandon McCarthy. 96 pitches, 65 for strikes. You can see he's a little disappointed here. He'd done such a good job of recovering from those 2 innings, the first and the third, where they got 2 runs each. He gets the Diamondbacks into the 8th, but his night is over, and he leaves trailing 6-0. Hey fans, don't forget this season Saturday baseball has arrived at America's newest sports network, Fox Sports 1. It's the Red Sox and the Yankees. Fox Sports 1, your home for baseball every Saturday. It starts this week at 10 o'clock Pacific time. And to find Fox Sports 1 on your cable or your satellite provider, just go to foxsports1.com. The right-hander Will Harris is in there. Will worked last night in San Francisco. 2/3 of an inning, gave up 2 hits and a run. On for the 6th time this year. A Puig double, a Ramirez double, a Gonzalez single, 2 more runs to open the 8th inning. And now McCarthy exits and Harris enters.
Will Harris in the process of whittling down those numbers. That's a real issue for a relief pitcher. When you have a couple of bad outings early in the season, your numbers get inflated right away. And you have to try to work them down 2/3 of an inning at a time, or an inning and a third, or an inning here and an inning there.
Yeah, you're a starter and you get blown up. You know, you got an ERA double digits. Next time you might go 7 or 8, and it comes falling down. There's Brandon McCarthy with a discussion, Trevor Cahill, about what happened out there. And once again for Brandon, just flat out dominant in long stretches. But a big inning here and a big inning there, and he leaves down 6-0. He retired at one point 11 in a row. 2-2. There's always, Bob, it seems, so much good to take away from a Brandon McCarthy start, and I think it's safe to say that about that again tonight. There's a lot you don't like for sure, but I mean, you start mowing them down 11 straight, you're doing something right.
Gets back to that consistency factor, trying to find a way to avoid those big innings when things just seem to slip away quickly.
So Ethier strikes out. Little debate there with Will Little, the plate umpire, and the discussion continues with Trevor and Brandon in the D-back dugout. That's the first out of the inning. Here's Juan Uribe.
A couple of front door cutters to start the sequence here from Will Harris. He's doing that more this year. That cutter used to be a pitch he would start on the outer third of the plate to a righty, almost like a slider. Try to break it away from him, but we've seen him going back to spring training, throwing that front door slider, starting it just off the inside corner, try to freeze the hitter, and then cut it back over the inside corner.
Martin Prado at third. They get one at second. They roll the double play, and Will Harris gets a strikeout and a double play ball and puts out the fire. But the Dodgers get two more. Home half of the eighth. Diamondbacks down 6-0. Here at Chase Field next week, Diamondbacks take on those New York Mets. April 14th to 16th, and get the most bang for your buck with the D-backs value pack. That gets you a bleacher ticket, a hot dog or a Subway sandwich, a regular Pepsi, and a free cookie, and it all costs only $21. So for more information, visit dbacks.com/value.
$21. Forget about it.
And you get the ticket, you get the food, the whole thing. That's it for Hyunjin Ryu. The veteran Jamie Wright is out there. Last year, with his 10th different organization. That was the Tampa Bay Rays. Pitched in 66 games for the Rays and had a very good year. 2-2 with 3.09 ERA. On for the 6th time here as an LA Dodger. He has been around, but he's still very effective. Chris Owings has flied out and struck out 0 for 2.
Jamie Wright with a career ground ball percentage of 68.1%, including a 73.5% mark as a relief pitcher. Obviously relies heavily on that sinking fastball.
19 years in the big leagues. Fedorovich will start over with the signs. Chris Owings started the season 11 for his first 28. But Chris had a tough time with Giants pitchers in San Francisco. Most guys do. And he is now hitless in his last 12 at bats. Second in here. Sanderson Ford, bullpen, the hyphenator, Ryan Roland Smith.
He was really the only available relief pitcher left in that bullpen last night in San Francisco because Josh Coleman had thrown 4 innings the day before. Ryan Roland Smith was the last man standing down there in that bullpen.
There's a strikeout.
Hey fans, anytime the D-backs win, you win at Papa John's. The day after every D-backs win, you get 50% off your regular menu price online order at Papa John's. Enter promo code D-backs50 at papajohns.com.
Gerardo Parro for 2. It's funny, I was talking to Ryan after the ball game yesterday, and it's funny, his teammates back there in the bullpen after what they went through last year with all the extra inning games, the getaway days, the walk-offs, the whole thing. And I think they spooked him a little bit because he said he's got that great Australian accent from New South Wales, and he said I thought for sure I was going to pitch in that ball game the way things were going, and it was warming up down there. But then the Diamondbacks came through with that big 10th. Cliff Pennington, the 1-out single, he stole second, came into the Campana single. And the Diamondbacks beat the Giants 6-5, but Roland Smith was warming up throughout that inning and thought, okay, I'm going to get on this train. Two 2-0 to Parra. And the Luchador makes an appearance. And Ryan Roland Smith is just a guy you root for. And we've told you a little bit about his story over the course of the year so far. Has not pitched or had not pitched in the big league since 2010. And he has battled his way back. Two and 2. Now there's the Luchador, and then there's
Daft Punk.
Pardon me?
Isn't that the name of that electronica? Yeah, Daft Punk. They
Look at you.
They wear the helmets and stuff. Yeah.
Mr. Pop Culture. They're Grammy Award winners, I'm told, by Mitch Riggin. All right. It's got to be hot in that thing.
I would think so.
Right opens up with back-to-back strikeouts. And here is the hero from last night, Tony Campana. Got the start in center field, was batting leadoff, and went 4 for 6 with that huge single in the 10th inning last night to drive in what turned out to be the winning run. And he'll hit for the pitcher here. Chops it into the ground, and that'll be foul. This was Tony Campana last night, the Cincinnati Bearcat, running wild.
Boy, he was right in the middle of everything good last night for the D-backs. Just a real nice approach. He's got the bat on the ball, tried to hit the top half of the baseball. His speed put some pressure on Sandoval, threw the ball away, and then what turned out to be the game-winning run right there. A little soft liner over second base.
So here he is with 2 outs in the 8th. Diamondback coaches last year loved what they saw from Tony in terms of the work ethic and the attitude. Great teammate, the type of guy you want on your roster and in your clubhouse. Got the great speed. And really the perfect kind of guy, even though he might be your 25th guy, can still come in and impact a ball game, whether it's as the occasional starter or in a key spot, pinch hitting or pinch running late in the ball game. Good bunter, excellent base stealer. Jamie Wright, 1, 2, 3, strikes out the side in order, and will go to the 9th.
What is it? Daft Punk?
Daft Punk, yeah.
Word. Into the Diamondbacks again. Hyunjin Ryu, you see the numbers this season. Only 4 hits in 12 innings with 13 strikeouts. Tonight, just a pair of Miguel Montero singles allowed. He walked 1 and he struck out 8.
I'll tell you, to be quite honest with you, the Diamondbacks just haven't had many good swings. Forget hits, forget runs. They just haven't had very many good swings against Ryu. Something in that delivery is very deceiving to the D-backs offense.
The hyphenator, Ryan Rowland-Smith, on for the 9th, his 5th appearance of the year. 4 strikeouts, 3 walks, and 4 1/3. And he'll work to the lower third of the LA order.
What a performance by Jamie Wright coming in out of that Dodger bullpen. Now, granted, he was facing the bottom third of the order, but 3 strikeouts. And I was looking in the Dodgers media guide, and you know this, partner. There's a section after all the statistics where it lists career transactions and how many times you've been on the disabled list. 21 separate career transactions for Jamie Wright.
19 years as a pitcher in the big leagues.
How about that?
Tim Fedorovich. What has he got? Anything?
Well, I mean, you know,
catching?
Well, he was a first-round pick, 28th overall by the Dodgers back in, or rather the Rockies back in '93. Was acquired by Milwaukee in a 3-team trade that actually involved assistant hitting coach Henry Blanco.
Hank White.
And then was acquired by St. Louis in the trade with Milwaukee. And then after that, it's signed by Seattle, signed by Milwaukee, Texas, Kansas City, the Cubs, Kansas City, the Rockies, the Giants, the Rangers, the Royals, the Indians, the A's, the Mariners, the Dodgers, the Rays, and the Dodgers again. Which tells you one thing. He must be a really good teammate because he had some repeat performances with several organizations.
He's pitched for all those teams.
Pretty much, yeah. He's got a garage full of duffel bags.
Two balls and 2 strikes. Fedorovich lifts it in the air, routine to right center. A.J. Pollock. During that last bottom of the inning, watch this foul ball now. Keep your eye on the ball. Dave McKay, Davey Lopes, John Figgins, Justin Turner. I don't want it. Yeah, you faked him out. Let's go back the other way. Nobody down there wants to play. So back to Figgins, back to Lopes, and then back to the fan.
Perseverance. He hung in there and waited for it to make its rounds.
The great Davey Lopes. Boy, what a player he was. Of that long time LA infield. Garvey, Lopes, Russell, and the Penguin. Ronce. Every year. All 4 of them. D. Gordon has a pair of singles. He's 2 for 3.
That kind of used to be the Dodger way. They would bring teams up in waves. Yeah, the guys you mentioned, and then after that, they had Mike Marshall at first, Steve Sachs at second, Dave Anderson at shortstop, Mike Scioscia behind the plate. It just seemed like they would get those guys into their minor league system, get them the playing time, get them the at-bats and the reps they needed, and when the time came, they bring them all up at almost the same time.
They had that run where I think it was 4 years in a row they had the Rookie of the Year.
Yep.
Boy, that guy could put some pressure on you at second. What a base runner. Kirk Gibson, not a bad Dodgers. Well, although he doesn't like to talk about it. He said, I'm a Diamondback. That guy was a pretty good Dodger, too. So not only does Jamie Wright strike out the side, he gets an AB.
Career 146 hitter coming into this season. But because he spent part of his career as a starter, he does have over 400 career at bats. So not an unfamiliar position for Jamie Wright.
Foul ground, first base side. Goldie can't quite get that. So the veteran hitter is still alive up there.
This wasn't popped high enough in the air. Ideally, as a corner infielder, you want to run to the barrier and then make an adjustment, but the ball just wasn't hit high enough in the air for Goldie to get over there in time.
It's been that kind of night. So 1 and 2 on Wright. And Ryan Rowland-Smith works a 1-2-3 ninth, gets the strikeout, and we'll go to the home half of the ninth. CenturyLink, your link to what's next. It's the top of the order for the D-backs. A.J. Pollock, Aaron Hill, and Paul Goldschmidt when we come back. You are Arizona's #1 super fan? Well, if you do, now is the time to prove it. Step up, show the entire state. Just log on to foxsportsarizona.com/superfan for all the details. Best in a million universes. Prove it. foxsportsarizona.com/superfan. All the details are right there. It's upside down, son. Fundamentals.
That's a rally beat LA sign.
Oh, next level. Nice save.
Thanks from Yuma in the house tonight.
Our Donate Life group. Cindy Brunson was down there talking earlier about how important organ donation can be. Jamie Wright back out there. A 1-2-3 8th inning, 3 strikeouts, and he'll work to the top of the order now. Pollock, Hill, Goldie in the 9th. Diamondbacks only 2 hits so far, a pair of Miguel Montero singles. As Hyunjin Ryu worked a beauty. 7 innings, 2 hits, a walk, and 8 strikeouts. And the last time the Diamondbacks were held at 2 or fewer hits was last September 16th against the Dodgers. The starter that day was Hyunjin Ryu, but the D-backs won that game 2-1. They trail here 6-0 as Pollock leads off the 9th. Need a whole bunch of base runners. Three balls and a strike.
Obviously, you never stop trying to win a ball game, but at worst, you'd like to force Don Mattingly to get into that bullpen a little deeper. Jamie Wright with a 1-2-3 8th inning with 3 strikeouts. Get a couple runners on base, force him to get some relievers up in that bullpen.
It's full. Andre Ethier, the center fielder, shaded a little bit toward right, so there's room in left center for AJ with Aaron Hill on deck. Leadoff man aboard. The second walk for Pollock tonight. Hey fans, follow the Diamondbacks with MLB.com at bat for your iPhone, your iPad, your Android, your BlackBerry 10, or your Windows Phone 8. And you'll get scores, stats, highlights, live audio, and more. So just text at bat to 31826 or visit dbacks.com for details. Leadoff man aboard, Aaron Hill.
We got our wish. The Dodgers have double-barreled activity in their bullpen, a righty and a lefty, both beginning to throw after that leadoff walk to A.J. Pollock.
Chris Witherell, the former #1 pick, was warming up earlier. Paco Rodriguez, the left-hander.
Ideally, you force them into the ball game at some point, but at worst, you want them to break a good sweat down there, get their arm loose, get game ready. Whether they come into the ball game or not, that could possibly affect them in future games in this series.
And they got some big bats coming up. Goldie, Prado, Montero, Trumbo follow. The 1-0 to Aaron Hill. Aaron has hit safely in 5 of his last 7. He's not giving up.
Be the single hardest part of being a base coach.
Picking who to throw it to?
Yeah, you know, so many kids sitting over there on that side. Guys been yelling at you all day. Hey, Sherrills, if you get a ball, toss it over here. Well, then you turn around and there's, 2,000 people with their hands up in the air.
picked up. Crawford, routine, on it back to first, 1 away. Paul Goldschmidt, 0 for 3. He has struck out twice. And Goldie, his streak is in jeopardy. Already lost the 26-game hitting streak. He has since started a new one. It's at 4. But going into tonight, he had a streak of reaching base safely in 31 straight games. And that's in jeopardy right here. 0-1. Gordon, ball game. Hyunjin Ryu and Jamie Wright combine on the 2-hit shutout. And the Diamondbacks this season fall to 0-3 against the Dodgers. And the 2-game winning streak stops right here. I mean, we've seen this before, Bob. They just run into a buzzsaw. Tim Hudson comes to mind. Twice, in fact. And tonight, Hyunjin Ryu.
Same story for the D-backs offense against Ryu. Got to find a way to break through against that young man. And the Dodgers, with their swagger coming into this ballpark after what they did here last year, they feel like this is their home away from home. Got to stop that.
Yeah, the Dodgers won 6 of 10 played here at Chase last season, and they win the first matchup this year. But don't forget, in San Francisco earlier this week, the Diamondbacks dropped that first game at AT&T Park, came back to win the next 2, and they have Wade Miley going on the mound tomorrow at Chase Field against Zach Greinke. So good pitching matchup for you, but they ran into a great pitcher tonight, and sometimes it's simply a tip of the cap, a wag of the finger, and you move on.
Yeah, and once again, you know, you'd like to win every ball game, but the bottom line is winning series. But the Diamondbacks haven't made it easy on themselves. They have yet to win game 1 of a series this year.
We'll have to recap from Chase Field. Let's send it out to center field. Brandon Webb is with Jody Jackson.
All right, thanks a lot, Steve. That's right, Brandon, we have a lot to get into here on the postgame show. We'll talk about Ryu and this D-backs offense falling